Okay, so this is the second part of the speaker analysis for Techkaran, and now we are looking into his how his drivers are used in his speakers. So this is our mid-range driver, which is a 96 dB sensitivity Faital driver, and there's a 18-inch Beyma woofer and a gorgeous compression driver, which is also a Beyma 755 with titanium diaphragm that works on the high frequency duty. So in his system, the mid-range, the Faital, is working in a 34-liter cabinet, and the woofer is working in a 305-liter cabinet. And when we look at the specifications for the Beyma, let's see here, they recommend there to use, so equivalent air volume is 200 liters. So it means that it will be happiest with something around this size. So now you have a 50% bigger size than that, and it means that it can play lower in frequency. So in this cabinet you would go down to around 30 hertz, but now with your much bigger cabinet it's probably happy to play down to 20 hertz. However, it's at the cost of speed, so now I expect that it sounds sluggish compared to what its capabilities are. And I have the example of my friend who also has an 18-inch woofer, high efficiency woofer, just like yours, but his is a JBL, and he also started with a 300-liter cabinet volume, and he brought it down to exactly 210 liters. That's where he is now, and he's much happier with the sound, and he said the bass improved a lot. So do not go with just numbers on a paper. It's more of an experimentation, and the smaller cabinet size can work better in a living room setting than a bigger size. And that's because it's like 90% of the frequency range that it produces will be much faster and more precise. So now that you have your cabinet, let's say like this is your cabinet, and your woofer, let's say maybe it's here somewhere, and then what you could do is like if you can have someone work at it, is like cut off a piece of the cabinet in like do not chop it off, but on the inside place a piece of separation so that the floor is up there, and use this extra volume there for a port. And now you can have a really big port mouth for your driver, and I'm going to go into that in a next video, so do not start doing anything yet with your cabinet. It's just an indication for now that this 300 liter is probably way too big for your woofer, and you could get away with it, but in this case you cannot, because your mid-range driver, it's in a 34-liter cabinet, so almost 10 times smaller than that. And now we are seeing where the problem is coming in your system, and that's because there's a really huge discrepancy between the two. So your woofer is has 50% more than it would be happy with, and the Faital works in a really tiny cabinet volume. This is like a bookshelf speaker volume, and let's see, do I have it? Yes, let's look up the data sheet for the Faital. So what is the cabinet volume they recommend for this? I have found it, let's see. I cannot find it right now, but I did find it yesterday, And basically this driver is really happy if you use something like between 120 to 150 liters of volume. So between 120 to 150 liters. So you see here we have about 4 or 5 times less volume for this driver and 50% more for this. So what does this do to the sound? So this driver, the Faital, is 96 dB efficient, and the woofer is 98 dB efficient. So here we have a problem that the mid-range driver that's playing about 80% of the music your ear hears is less efficient than the woofer. So that's not a good thing. So it means that you have to level the woofer down, so you are losing the effect of the big volume. Plus, that's just on paper efficiency. How it works when you put it in a cabinet, if you make the cabinet size smaller than the one it likes to work with, then this number decreases. So in this tiny volume, you are maybe getting like 95, 94 dB efficiency out of it, and you have plus 50%, then you have even higher efficiency for your woofer, maybe like 99 on paper, what we would express as a number, or maybe even 100. So you have like a 6 dB efficiency difference between the two of them. So your mid-range cannot keep up with the woofer. And when you look at the compression driver, it's 110 dB efficient. So now there's a really huge gap between these two numbers. So like 16 dB efficiency difference between the mid-range and the compression driver, and that's going to show up in the sound. That's like a schizophrenic behavior, that you cannot really mate these two well, because the difference between the efficiency is so much that here you are getting tons of dynamic resolution, tons of detail, and here you get much less. And here you get pretty good detail level as well because of this efficiency. So what you could do if you really want to keep the mid-range is to change the ratio of the compartment sizes, increase the mid-range drivers, the Faital's volume to 100 liter by taking away 100 liter from the woofer. But that's one possibility if you really like the mid-ranges sound, but then still you will have the schizophrenic problem between the mid-range and the compression driver efficiencies being so different from each other. And another reason to get rid of the mid-range is because these two are the same. So these are both Beymas. And when they design them to mate with each other. They have the same sonic characteristic, same harmonic response, and this is from another manufacturer, so it's going to have a very different characteristic. So if you want to mate it, it will be a nightmare scenario. And as this one and these one, they can both cover the frequency range, I would just use those two drivers and just ignore the Faital for now. And maybe just take it out and use it for another speaker project. So that's my recommendation for now, and we'll continue exploring the situation. So I hope you found this useful so far and everyone benefited from it, looking at speaker design and ideas. Thank you for joining in. Bye bye.